abdominal wall. So once again, now I'm going past the aortic arch and following that. So I'm not talking about these branches that are coming off of it, but I'm following it to the descending arch and into the thoracic cavity. So each one of the intercostal muscles has a branch off of that thoracic artery. And those are just, and we can only see one represented here, but obviously you have more than one. The intercostal artery. And then once we pierce the diaphragm, we will see on the underneath side of the diaphragm the phrenic artery. Phrenic artery. And once we pierce the diaphragm, we start calling the aorta the abdominal aorta. So the first branch, a tiny one, that leads to this structure here. What is this yellow structure called? Adrenal gland. So a red thing going to the adrenal gland is known as the suprarenal. Why? Because the adrenal is above the renal, which is the kidney, right? Okay, so now what we've done is gutted out the GI tract. You don't see the liver in here. You don't see the stomach except for on this view. On this view, we're seeing the stubs, or what's left on that abdominal aorta. So the first stub is your celiac trunk. The celiac trunk. On our models, the best way to see the gastric artery is the red thing on the stomach. So most of the time, the organs are the arteries going to supply the organs are named for it. Okay, so it takes a lot of the guesswork off of what it is we're doing. So if this red thing is going to this organ, which is in the upper left quadrant, what's this organ? The spleen, and that's the splenic artery. This one is going to this structure, which is representing the liver. That's the hepatic artery. And then we have specific arteries going to each one of our kidneys. Those are the renal arteries. Okay, so back to the structure that's left after we're gutting out the abdominal cavity. So the first one was, started with a C, celiac trunk. The second stub is known as the superior mesenteric artery, and that supplies part of the intestinal region, part of the small intestines. And the third stub is the inferior mesenteric artery.